moment, I would like to welcome Miss Evelyn Parker, if you don't mind clapping for her.
Thank you very much. So let's just get some of the things out of the way. She says that I've been telling stories for over 30 years. She's right. I've been at the library. This will be my 49th year. In November. What 9 years? One more year and be 50. All right, and I just wanted people to know that. And another individual asked me, you know, you're telling stories about African Americans. Don't you have a shirt or something to depict this? And I looked at the person and I said to them, that is wonderful for those who like to display shirts. I agree with that. But for me, it's not about the shirt, it's about the story. And if you can tell a story and make people remember the story, not you, but the story, then you've done your duty. And that's why I'm here today. I just want to share some stories with you. Because a lot of people don't realize stories came way, way back when. And we'll say the pre-colonial time, they were telling stories in Africa that many years ago. And a lot of people don't realize that. And there were many different stories and types of stories that they told. And one of the stories that they told, and we tell, or we read, some of us read the Bible. Some of us don't read the Bible. But all of us have stories similar to the Bible that we talk about or we tell. Now the story I've chosen to tell you today is called Sun Man. And I want the young people to realize it is not a true story. But I hope you enjoy the story. Many, many years ago, way back in Africa, people assembled. They joined hands. They talked. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't know what that was. They didn't have television. They had no idea what that was. And they also shared stories. And this is one of their stories. There was an older man who lived in a village. And he didn't want to be different. He wanted to be just like everybody else. And so what he did is he kept a secret from the village. He would run around and hold himself very tightly. People would wonder, why does he do that? No one knew exactly why. But they knew there was darkness. Everything seemed dark. And one day, without understanding or preparation, he started to yawn, and his hand went up. And the people started to see, and the other hand automatically went up, and you could see further than they had ever seen before. And they loved it. And they would go around chanting, Sunman, Sunman, bring forth the light! Sunman, Sunman, chase away the darkness! Oh, and that made him feel so special. And he would toss his hands up in the air and show the sun. Light was everywhere. But you know what happened? As we get older, things get difficult. And he went to throw his hand into the air, and he could only get this far. So he decided to throw the other hand into the air, and he could only get this far. And the people was upset because they wanted to see everything they could see. He couldn't do it for them. And he felt like he was a disappointment to his people, and he went into a cave and fell asleep. But they're still chanting for him. Sunman, Sunman, bring forth the light. Sunman, Sunman, chase away the darkness. But the sun never shone. It never showed again. So they said for the children, they said, children, come hither. And this is what we want you to do. We want you to go into the cave where the Sun Man is. And we want you to, in circles, just circle around him. Everybody circle and bend over. Pick up a piece of the sun and toss it into the sky. The children went into the cave and found the Sun Man asleep, and they all circled around him. And they all bent over. Everybody here, bend over. Pick up a piece of the sun. Come on, help me. Pick up the sun. Toss it into the air. And now we have the sun in the sky. The end. All right, moving right along, as they say. No. Many stories are brought to you all because of a reason. And some reason is I want to express is the fact that I have a grandmother. We all have grandparents. And they all were special to us all our life, maybe. And mine was grateful. And I was grateful to be a part of her life, and she was grateful to be a part of mine. And so what we would do is and I'm not going to tell you how old I am. That's none of your business. But I am going to tell you that we would sit around a long table and everybody would have a turn to tell stories. Now the young kids, like I was 6, we didn't tell stories, but the older individuals always told us stories. And that's why I learned to love stories. And I think it's time that we revert back to those days and talk to people. We don't talk. We get on our cell phones and we just enjoy each other from a distance. We don't see one another. We don't know what other people are doing. But that's our life right now. But I'm walking you backwards. Backwards when those days when people just sit around and they chit-chat. They knew everybody's history and you knew everybody's history. Now, we may not go back to that time, but I do want us to at least experience some of the story. So with that in mind, how many of you have ever had someone tell you a story? Okay, good. How many of you have had a professional storyteller tell you a story? Good.
Do you count?
Do I count? Yes, I count. Yes, I count. All right, that's fine. I just wanted to see how many people have had a story told to them. Because in this generation, or the generation we're going through right now, they get a lot off the cell phones or the computer. And they don't get anything like this. So I want to share one story with you because we have children in the audience. It's not quite an African American story, but it's a story just to get them moving a little bit. Would you like to have a story, young people? A story that you can identify with? All right. So let's do this. Now this story is just the story because you all know this story. How many know the reason cats and dogs are not friends? Why do dogs chase cats, in other words? You know, why do dogs chase cats?
Because because dogs always have their mouth wide open, and dogs they run, but like cats they
So what are you saying?
tired.
So they just dislike one another? Okay. Is there anybody else who want to take a chance and tell me why dogs chase cats? Yes, sir. Oh, he's doing something totally different. Are you?
For one, they love each other, but they just can't
Communicate?
communicate because they know each other
Oh,
from a different
That's-
perspective, like different animal, but they the same, but they dogs, cats, dog, cats.
okay. That's wonderful. I've never had anyone express it the way you just
Amen.
expressed it.
Amen.
That's wonderful. So, but I'm gonna tell you, you are wrong. I am the only person in this room that knows why dogs chase cats. And I'm gonna share that information with you right now. Many, many years ago, dog and cat was best friends. They ate from the same table and they went to the grocery store together. One day, they went to the grocery store and they found a huge ham. And they decided to buy it. But they had to pool their money. That means they had to put that money together to get that big old ham. And so they had one more thing they needed to do, get that ham home. So when Dog was carrying this huge ham, he would sing, "Our ham, our ham, our ham." And he put the ham down. Cat knew instinctively it was his time to carry that huge ham. And he picked that huge ham up and he rocked his shoulder and he'd sing, "My ham, my ham, my ham." Dog thought about this for a minute and said, "I don't understand this. Every time I carry that huge ham, I sing our ham. But I've noticed every time you carry that same ham, you sing my ham. Why do you do that?" Cat didn't say a word. And so Dog forgot about it. And so when it was time for him to carry that huge ham, he picked that huge ham. Everybody, pick up your ham. Pick up a ham. Move your shoulders back and forth. Help me sing. My ham, my ham, my ham. You're wrong. It should have been what? Our ham, our ham, our ham. And when it was time for Cat to pick up that huge ham, he'd rock his shoulders back and forth, and what would he say? My ham, my ham, my ham. And at that moment, Cat saw a huge tree, and he ran to that tree, climbed that tree to the very top, sat in that tree, and ate the entire ham. And Dog's been chasing Cat since. The end. All right, did you like that one? Was that something you could get involved in, young people? Because I understand, it gets kind of boring sometimes when people talk telling stories. Okay, let's move along to another story. Everybody's heard of Uncle Remus, not young people, older people have heard of Uncle Remus, and they've all heard of Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit is the constant in all of these stories you'll get. That's okay, come on in. Come on in. I can just wait a few minutes so you can sit. I just started the story, so I can wait.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, Brer Rabbit, some people say brr, some people say bro, some people say brer. It's all the same. It's Brer Rabbit. And he was constant in the stories. And Uncle Remus, a lot of people get it confused. Uncle Remus was only the narrator of the stories. He's the one that set the stories up. And George Chandler Harris, what did he do? Anybody want to take a guess? I'm going to go across this right quickly. He compiled all those stories in this book. But let me ask you this. If you had only one book, or if you had several books, and this is one of the books, would you pick this book up? Would you want to know what's inside of it? Truly, no cover, no nothing. Would you pick this book up? Would you just say, I want to know what's inside that book? Nobody would pick this book up? You would be good, that's right. Because if you open up, you can't see it, I would like for you to see the illustration. See those little tiny little illustrations? It's similar to me though, it's similar to a Turner classic. When we see, I love Turner classics, I'm gonna be honest with you. I watch those constantly. But when my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren come in, there's no color, it just makes them go, oh my goodness, let me out of here. They just don't like, if it's not color, they don't know anything about it. So I wanted to share that with you so that you can know that there are books like this, or was books like this, but today, no, there isn't. And why do you say that? Because people want to come in and pick them up. But what did Julia Lesser do to a book? Look at that illustration, even on the cover. These are all the same stories. He didn't change the stories. What did he do? He added nice illustrations. And by adding nice illustration, people start taking the books out. All right. And the story that I have chosen, and some people have heard it, but I'm going to do it again. It's called Brer Possum. I mean, you know the story of Brer Possum. Now, when I was a child, that's what we did. We sit around and listen to stories. We didn't have television. I'm not going to say we don't have television. I'm not from the Stone Age. But I'm saying it was more important to me to hear the story from the people's mouth so that I would have a history of the story, I guess. Even at 6, I knew I wanted to be a storyteller. How do you know that? But I did know that. So this is one of those stories. Now, I don't do it like my grandmother used to do them. My grandmother spoke Gullah. Anybody know what Gullah is? One lady right there. And they leave out a lot within the story. And you have to know the language that's going on in the story. So that was the problem. They didn't know the language. And so the story, especially for young people, they didn't know the language. And therefore, they couldn't understand the stories being told. So we modernized the story somewhat. Brer Possum was a kind-hearted fellow. All he did all day was sleep in his favorite tree, look out and view the land. But this particular day, he decided to step out of his tree and go in search. And there, in the middle of the road, he spied a hole. And he went over to the hole and he looked in. And there in the hole was Brer Snake with a big old brick on his back. Now Brer Possum did not think Brer Snake had seen him, so he eased away from the hole and went on down the road. And then he heard, "Come help me, Brer Possum." I just told you Brer Possum was a kind-hearted fellow. He goes back to the hole and he says, "Brer Snake? Oh, Brer Snake, was that you calling me?" "Yes, yes, yes. I've been down in this hole for a long time with a big old brick on my back. Will you come down and take the brick from my back?" Say, "What? I ain't coming down in no hole with no snake. Because the minute I bend over to take that brick from your back, I know what you're going to do to me. You going to bite me something more fierce." "Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not." Brer Possum thought about this for a minute, looked up in the tree, saw a long, long limb. He took that limb right out of that tree, took that limb, placed it right under that snake, and picked that snake up and threw it as far as he could. Threw him down and lickety-split. Boogity, 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 boogity. Down the road he starts to travel. And then he hears again, "Come help Brer Possum. Brer Possum is a kind-hearted fellow. He goes back looking for Brer Snake. Brer Snake, oh, Brer Snake, where are you? Brer Snake came, he crossed the road, laying there in the midst of the road. And Brer Possum said, what can I do for you now? And Brer Possum said, is there anything I can do for you? And the snake said, I've been down in that hole for a long time, and I'm cold. Would you put me in your pocket? Put you in my pocket. Now I know I ain't the smartest snake in this here town. I ain't the smartest critter ever. But I can tell you one thing, I ain't putting no snake in my pocket, because the moment I put you in my pocket, you gonna bite me something fierce. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Brother Possum looked at that snake, and you know, that snake looked like he was actually cold. And he told that huge snake dog, coil up, and he dropped him right into his pocket. But I'm going to warn you, he said, the minute you start to move, that's the moment you're coming out of my pocket. Brer Snake lay so still in Brer Possum's pocket that Brer Possum forgot the snake was inside his pocket until the snake started crawling out of his pocket. I'm going to bite you. I'm gonna bite you. I'm really gonna bite you. This possum couldn't understand it. Why in the world would you bite me? I've done it all. You asked me to get you up out of the hole. I've done that. You asked me to put you inside my pocket, and I also did that. So why in the world would you bite me? You knew I was a snake the minute you put me in your pocket. There's a moral to the story. Don't ever bother anything until it bothers you. And that's the end of that. Now, I have a little story for the little ones again. How many of you young people have ever heard of the story Crocodile and Hen? You ever heard that story before? Anybody? You heard Crocodile and Hen? I started off saying little ones. I don't think I said adults. But okay, little one. Okay, we're going to do it again. How many know how to do the story? This is what I want you to do. Everyone in the room, if you would like to participate, open your hand. I'm going to put this down for a minute just in case, because you can do this without me. How many can do this? Open your hands just like this. Good. This is your mouth. And when the crocodile cannot eat the hen, I want you to close it just like that. Open, close. All right. Crocodile and hen was down at the watering hole. And hen was fluffing up her feather. And up come crocodile. And crocodile said, I'm going to eat you today. And hen said, no, my brother, don't eat me today. And crocodile couldn't understand. Why would a hen be calling him brother? And he couldn't come up with a good solution. So he just, everybody, once again, if a hen is not eating, what do you do? Close the mouth, right? Crocodile went to see his great friend. And he asked his great friend, hey, why would a hen call me brother? What is it about me and the hen that can be considered brothers? And guess what his friend told him? Hens lay eggs. Crocodiles lay eggs. Who else lay eggs? Can anybody tell me who else lay eggs?
Chickens.
Chickens lay eggs. Anybody else want to take a shot? Who else lays? Birds lay eggs. Who else? Who? Snakes lay eggs. Anybody else want to? Fish lay eggs. You want to take a shot?
Turtles.
Turtles lay eggs. Anybody else? Got another one?
Frogs lay eggs.
Frogs lay eggs. Anybody else? And because they all lay eggs, they are all considered brothers. Therefore, crocodile and hen became best friends. The end. All right. This is not really, it is a story, but it's not really a story. In the fact that it is a true story about myself. I don't talk about myself. Here's Faye, here's Steve at the library, here's Jose. I don't talk about me. I just come to work and do the job and go home. That's the way I live my life. But when I came to the library, and Lord, that's been a while back, Dennis Bruce was in charge of the library at that point in time, and he could see that we had a lot of children, young children coming into the library, and we had some teens coming in, but the older children, young people, we don't call them YA, young adults, they were not coming to the library. They would do their assignments, yes, but to browse the collection and be at the library, that was something they did not do. And he wanted some of us to take storytelling, turn it into something that we could use to go into the school and talk with these young people. And so, guess what? Some people always volunteering for something, right? I was one of them. I was one of those with my hands up saying, what can I do? How can I help? And I took some storytelling lessons in Columbia. And they were wonderful stories, and it was really, really good tips about storytelling. And then I went to the Storytelling Festival in Woodrow. And there were 2 storytellers and myself. And you heard the expression, you always say the best for last. That's not true. 2 storytellers went up there, did what they needed to do, got off the stage, and it was my time to go up there. I got up there and I had never told stories before. I was frozen. Fear factor. I was so scared that I was going to miss something when I tell the story, that I confused the story, I couldn't get the story correct, I couldn't really do the story. And when I finished, this is absolute truth. There were approximately 200 people down in that room. When I continued the story and finished the story, guess how many people were in this room? 2 storytellers and myself. Everybody else had walked out. I said, I'm never going to tell another story. This doesn't make any sense. I mean, I was so embarrassed. My face, I know, it's hard to show that, but I was so embarrassed about going up on that stage and trying to tell a story and couldn't get the sequences correctly. And the 2 storytellers took me aside and said, you know what your problem is? You're trying to be something you're not. When you're a storyteller, you have to have some of yourself in the story. And if you don't have some of yourself in the story, it's not going to work. Give it a second chance. And I said, not now. I chose not to tell stories. But eventually I decided I will give it another chance because they're probably right. But do I want to be subjected to all that again? Yes, you do. Because with failure comes success. And you have to fail to succeed. And I know everybody in here heard that. But until you actually fail, meaning you go through a process where you truly fail, you can't succeed the next time around. And so after I went through all of that, I decided I was going to do my stories whatever way I wanted to do them. And today, that's what I do. I'm only telling you this is because of the fact that everybody has a dream. And everybody should dream. It's those people that take that dream to the next level that makes it in this world. Not the one that has the dream and sews it right inside of them and keep that dream tightly inside of them. It's the person who expands that dream and take it outside of themselves. Those are the people that make it or become the super individuals in this society. And I know everybody in this room is super. So therefore, take your dream, stop the fear factor, take that dream to the next level. Now this is a story that I wrote myself, and I want to share it with you. I told you I was a product, let's just say, I was a product of the 70s. I enjoyed the 70s. I still live in the 70s. That is the problem. I even dress sometimes like I'm in the 70s. It was just a great period of time for me. I have a grandmother who's no longer with us, and she was just great. Her name was Alice. I'm what you call a middle child. That means that everybody's talking about the older children, everybody's talking about the younger children, and the one or two children in the middle get ignored. We were just ignored. And so, when you ignore, what do? You make people see you. It doesn't have to be in a good way. You just make them see you. I was one of those children. I made everybody see me. I made everybody talk about me because I wanted to be seen. But they were not talking great things about me. I didn't know that at the age of 6. I just knew I was being talked about. Well, my grandmother decided that she was going to change everything. And she took me under her wing, and I became somewhat like her child. Everywhere she went, I went. Every time she ate, I ate. I was just with her all the time, and I loved it. Well, one day, my grandmother was in her bedroom, and I'm short, but I can see her in her room. She was going through some pillows and quilts and looking for something, I would assume, and she finally found it. It was a tiny can about this big. And she took that can out and she flipped the top off of it. And she took this finger and thumb, went inside that can, put some in her lip, and started rolling around in her mouth. Man, that seems so expressive. I looked and her eyes seemed to be just, oh boy, it was just glowing. Her eyes were so, she just looked like she was having the most fun of her life. Oh boy, I wanted to share that with my grandmother. And one day, when my grandmother was in the kitchen cooking, I was in her room searching. Don't ever tell someone that a 6-year-old cannot find what they're looking for. If they can get on that bed, they're going to find it. I found what I was looking for. I pulled that tiny can out and I looked at it. I didn't know what was in it, but I knew it didn't look kind of gross to me. But it had to be something inside that can that was actually good because it made my grandmother so happy. Well, what did she do next? Oh, she pulled the top off. But my hands are so small I couldn't just flip it off. I had to take the other hand and pull it off. And stuff started floating right up into the air. And got into my nostrils. And I can't, no, don't, no, hold it, because I knew if I didn't hold it, who was coming? Grandma from the kitchen would be there. I did that, I held it. I looked in that can, and it looked like dry weed in that can. But it had to be something more in that can because she got the thrill of her life from whatever it was in that can. And I thought, what did she do next? She took the finger and the thumb. She went into, I know now that's called a pinch, but she went into that can and she put it in her lip. Now, if my grandmother had that much fun with that little bit, I'm gonna have more fun. I took that can and pulled that lip out and poured the content of that can into the lip, down my clothes, everywhere you could see was the stuff. And I tried very hard to talk. And I could, it was so much in my mouth that it was like my mouth was frozen. I was there, I wanted to speak, I wanted help, I wanted my grandmother to come help me, but I couldn't say a word. And all of a sudden, my tummy started to turn, and my head started to hurt. And I just knew I needed to just lay down somewhere until I felt a little better. And I looked out over the room, and I saw the bed. And I said, when that bed turned the corner and come back around and come right in front of me, I'm gonna jump on that bed, lay on that bed till I felt better. Well, when that bed made that turn and stopped right in front, it stopped right in front of me. I jumped, whoa, bam! I was laid out, right there, straight out. I could not move. I could not say one word. My grandmother heard the sound and she came running to see what was wrong. And she saw me laying on the floor. And she said, honey, what's wrong? Now today, I know it wasn't what we call corporal punishment, but I know I was going to get a whipping if I did not answer this elderly woman. But I couldn't answer this elderly woman because it was too much of whatever the gump I had in my mouth keeping me from saying a word. And I just knew I was going to get it. But after a while, she could see something really was wrong. So she got down on her knees, and that's hard when you're 60, 70 years of age. And she turned me over, and she saw all that stuff all over me. She got back up, went into the bathroom, got a cloth, and cleaned me up. And you know what she did? She held me in her arms until I felt better. And because of that, and I take a pledge right here, I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I'll never dip snuff again. And what time is it? Oh, I see it. I'm looking to see what the time is. Before we go on, I'd just like to know about how many of you actually use the library. I'm not trying to pry into your life. I just want to know, do you ever come to the Spartanburg County? Yes, ma'am. She comes to the Spartanburg County Library. Anybody else? Yes, to come to the Spartanburg County Library. We want you to, and we want you to bring more people with you if you can. We want you to be our marketing department. That means you going out there promoting the library, okay? We like that. All right. Now, before we go on, is there any questions you'd like to ask me about? Yes, ma'am. What do you want to know?
What was in your mouth?
What was in my mouth? Snuff. You have no idea what that is. She's going, what is snuff? It's stuff. It's very hard to explain, in other words, but it's stuff that you shouldn't be putting in your mouth in the first place. It's stuff that makes people feel better.
Tobacco, ain't it?
Well, snuff ain't quite, what is it? Now, everybody look at me and say, oh, you're supposed to know what that is. Why are you asking us? We don't know what it is.
I thought it was.
It is tobacco?
That's what I thought too.
Okay, it's tobacco. I didn't know it was tobacco. It's stuff that was supposed to go in the mouth. That's all I know. Now I know, but I didn't know then. I thought it was something that you shared with your grandmother. Okay, so that's her. I guess she's got her answer. Is there any other questions anybody would like to ask before we continue? Yes, ma'am.
How many stories do you think you've told over the years? If you
Over
could-
1 year?
No,
Over the whole?
your whole career?
Ooh, I can't tell you. I really can't. I don't know. I really don't know.
Too many.
That's my daughter back there who's the heckler. Yeah, that's the heckler right there.
North Carolina.
That's the heckler right there. So it might be, I have told a lot of stories, and I have enjoyed every one of the stories that I've told. And so therefore I want to tell, you have to tell a library story if you work in the library, correct?
Yes.
The librarian was standing at her desk, and in walked a chicken. And the chicken went right up to her, and the chicken said, "Buh, buh, 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 buh." And the librarian was, you could not believe it. A reading chicken? A chicken that could read? Not a human being, but a chicken also can read. She was thrilled to know that this chicken could read. And she went back into the stack and found a good book. Placed the book up under the chicken's, wing. Chicken went out the door around the corner and she didn't know what happened. A few hours later, chicken was back. The chicken said, "Buh, buh, 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 buh." Oh, said the librarian, she has touched my heart. A reading chicken. A chicken that can read. And read so fast. Oh my goodness. Went back in the stack, found another book, placed it under the wing of the chicken. Chicken went out the door. A few hours, she's back. Buh, 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 buh. Oh, you are special, said the librarian. Went back, found another book, placed it under the wing of the chicken. But as the chicken went out the door, the librarian decided to follow the chicken and went around and down and round and down, went down to a brook. The chicken held the book up toward the water. The frog jumped up and said, "Ready, ready, ready." The end. That's what we call a foolish tale. All right, now this story I have loved for a long period of time. How many of you know fly, eagle, fly? Never read this story? It has the most, look at these, I mean, you can't probably see them as much as I would love for you to see, but the illustrations alone, just, I mean, it's just an amazing story. I would suggest, and for children, they enjoy this story a great deal. So if you're going to tell a story, I think you should tell this one if you're going to do an African American story. In Africa, as we all know, it was a place where there were people, but not people closeness, meaning close together. They had their villages, they had all these things going on for them, but they still had places that were specialized, meaning it was for certain types of villages. And they did certain things in these types of villages. Well, this farmer was out trying to catch his cow. His cow ran away. And he couldn't find him anywhere. He went up into the crevices. He just looked all around looking for this cow and he couldn't locate it. But he saw a tiny little bird, he thought, was inside one of the crevices. And he pulled it out. And he said, I'm going to take you back home and put you in with the chickens. And that's exactly what he did. But when he got back to the village, the people said the cow that he was looking for had wandered back home. So he was okay. He had everything he had. And put that chicken, as though he thought, in with the chicken. And he acted like a chicken. Well, one day his best friend came from another community and saw the special bird in with the chicken. And he said to him, this is not an ordinary bird. This is a special bird. This is one of those birds that goes to the air and sucks out the air and flies and is powerful. He should not be in with the chicken. And the friend said, if it struts like a chicken, acts like a chicken, eats like a chicken, thinks like a chicken, what do you got? You got a chicken. He said, no, I don't know how I'm going to convince you this, but this is what I consider a special bird. He said, can I come back another time and show you what this bird can do? Sure, come anytime. Well, the friend did come back, but he came back late at night, knocked on the door, and the friend said, well, why are you here? I'm here to show you what this bird can do. And he picked up this bird, which is grown, and he was talking to the bird, and he said, you are not of this world. You are a special bird. You are a bird that should be flying around. You should have the sun all over your feathers. You should be in space. You should be moving and grooving. You should be way up there in the sky. And today you're going to do that for me, aren't you, bird? And he took this huge bird and he tossed him into the sky. And he said, fly, eagle, fly. And the bird felt the sun coming up over the ridge. It felt so good on his feathers. And he started to move the feather. And look, and more sun was coming up, and he started to move, and he felt even better, and he started to woo and cool it and move it and groove it. I said, this feels so great. And he went to move in the sky, looked down, saw some chicken, jumped down, pecking at the ground. The friend said, what did I tell you? He moves like a chicken, struts like a chicken, eats like a chicken, thinks like a chicken. What you got? Y'all got a chicken. He said, no, how do I prove this to you? This is not an ordinary bird. Tell you what, can I come back one more time? One more time to help, just to show you what I know. Come back anytime. Now this time, he came when it was sun actually coming up over the ridge. And he carried this huge bird all along up to the top of the mountain. And as he carried this huge bird, he talked to it and he said, bird, show me what you can do. You are not of this world. You never was of this world. You are the most powerful bird in all this world. Just show us what you are made of. And so when I toss you in the air this time, I want you to fly like you never flown before. And he tossed that big old bird way up in the sky, and he said, do it, do it, do it. And that bird felt all the sun coming over that rise. And he felt even better than he did the time before. And not all than the other. Oh, he just felt expanding his wings more and more and more. And he caught a glimpse, a very glimpse of the sun himself, and saw himself in the sky. And within that time, he flew away and was never seen before. And that's what an eagle can do. And today, we're all in this room, but we're all eagles. Eagles from different perspectives. Eagles that can make a difference in this world. So don't ever let anybody limit you on what you want to do in this world. You become the eagle you want to be. And then you will soar like that eagle soared. And you will fly, eagle fly. The end. Okay, now, I know you don't like to take quizzes. Nobody does, but you're gonna have a quiz today. Because I believe in quizzes. And this is your quiz. And I don't want certain people to participate. That would be Steve. And that would be Faye. Who is the county librarian? And that, don't you dare. Oh, Paris. Who is the county librarian for the Spartanburg County Public Library? Don't all y'all speak out? Say what? Who said it? Somebody said it. What did you say?
I can't think of his last name. His first name is Todd.
That's right. Todd. And you have won. And you have won this. This is for you to take home and drink.
That's awesome.
Second question. How many books can you check out, all materials can you check out total from the library? Yes, ma'am. Back in the day. Huh? No, ma'am.
How many do you want?
Well, we do have a total. I like you. I like the way you think.
Yes, ma'am.
Just as many as you want. Just come in, get them.
Is it 14?
Higher. Anybody want? You okay, young lady?
25.
Well, it was 25, but they moved it up.
Oh.
So how many? Oh, double 25. What you got?
I was gonna say.
How come someone you gonna say 50? Oh! Okay, young lady and young man, come up here. You get one. Both of y'all get one. Here. Come up here. Both of y'all get one. We're not gonna. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you had the answer right on the tip of your tongue, right? Right. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
You are so
Yes,
welcome.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome. And my last question. The hours of the library from Monday through Friday is 9 till
6.
That's what I need too. I want to.
Okay, anybody know the answer? The real answer, not no.
9 to 9.
Yes. That's the lie. Here's your one.
Also, but 9 to 9.
You don't want to talk?
You could give somebody else.
Okay, we'll have to have another. Where you coming? Oh, you come and get the cup. All right, the cup is gone. She giving it to her mama. All right, sorry y'all. Okay, Okay, we're gonna have one more little story and then I'm gonna let you leave. But I've enjoyed this. I thank you for coming. You didn't have to come, you chose to come, and for me, that's a thrill. How many of you all are good in math? By show of hands, good in math. Oh, anybody else? Oh, you fairly, moderate.
I don't do math in public.
You don't do math in public. Oh, what does that mean? Okay, I've got a story for you. And I'm gonna tell you, if you don't listen you gotta listen. Totally tune out everything else around you. Everybody got to just listen. It's a really, it's a story from, I won't say that word, but it's just a terrible story, in other words. It's one that you're gonna have to really think. It's a thinking story. If you're not a thinker, you won't get it. How about that, if I say it that way? You gotta be able to think. Ready for the story? There were two friends, and they each had a horse. But they had one small problem. They couldn't tell these two horses apart. Two friends got together and made a pledge of how to keep from each horse being known, or not known, in other words. And one of the friends came up with a brilliant idea. He would nick the left ear of his horse. That way they wouldn't have any problems telling these two horses apart. Guess what? Second horse went through a brow tag, nicked the same ear in the same place. Two friends was back to square one. They couldn't tell these two horses apart. Second friend came up with a better idea. He tied a red ribbon around his horse's tail, and in the same brow patch, the ribbon was pulled off of his tail. Oh, the two friends could not get it right. They decided to try it again, came up with a better solution. They decided to measure the horses. And the white horse stood 2 hands higher than the black horse. Do you get it? Anybody get it? You never had any problems telling those horses apart in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
That's another foolish tale. Thank you for coming.